It is hard to imagine, but George Santos had undoubtedly one of the worst weeks any American politician has ever had. After the DOJ charged him with 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, campaign funds, 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of making false statements to the House of Representatives. But Santos's bad week wasn't just bad for him. It was also, quite honestly, bad for our democracy, because these are political crimes that we are talking about. As law professor and MSNBC columnist Jessica Levinson points out, if politicians commit crimes to get or keep power, then we can no longer trust our government to function. So it's not just enough for Santos to be punished if he is found guilty, because the crimes that he's accused of could actually undermine our entire political system. So we must ensure that others can't attempt to do the same. My next guest, Democratic Congressman Richie Torres of New York, introduced the SANTOS Act earlier this year, which would require congressional candidates to file additional information on their educational, military, and employment backgrounds with the FEC. Now, under this bill, any candidate who knowingly and willfully lies about that information would be punished with a $100,000 fine, 1 year in prison, or both. Congressman Richie Torres of New York joins me now. Congressman, it's great to see you again. Thanks for coming back on the show. Tell us a little bit about this legislation. You and Congressman Dan Goldman, also a fellow New Yorker, introduced it. What kind of support is it gaining in the House since these charges were made?
Well, so far it only has support among Democrats because Republicans are intent on protecting George Santos. But I find it outrageous that a federal candidate for public office can blatantly lie to voters without facing repercussions. And so I introduced the SANTOS Act, the Stop Another Non-Truthful Office Seeker, which requires a federal candidate to disclose in writing, under oath, under the penalty of perjury, their employment, educational, and military history, so that candidates who do lie to voters can finally be held accountable. If you're a voter, you should have the ability to compare what a candidate has said under oath versus what a candidate claims on the campaign trail. And the hope is that that will enable early detection of liars like George Santos.
What's incredible is it's such a no-brainer. I mean, you would think that you'd think Republicans would totally get on board because they would simply say, we do not want candidates, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, lying about their qualifications to the public.
Look, Republicans are intent on protecting George Santos. You know, for me, there are only 2 morally acceptable outcomes. Either George Santos resigns, which he refuses to do, or House Republicans summon the courage to expel George Santos. And the reality is that House Republican leadership refuses to expel George Santos because Kevin McCarthy needs George Santos to remain in power and is going to protect him at all costs. And Speaker McCarthy said that George Santos is entitled to a presumption of innocence. Well, George Santos pleaded guilty to theft in Brazil. So my question to my Republican colleagues is, are you ready to expel him?
Speaking of Kevin McCarthy, I mean, the charge Santos is facing involves crimes, only political figures can commit. And I talked in the intro about how these alleged crimes can undermine our democracy. Do you think Kevin McCarthy and his Republican colleagues understand that? Do they care, or is it just, as you said, only about keeping power?
The decision to protect George Santos is not driven by principle. It's driven by raw political power. Even the majority of Republicans in the New York congressional delegation have called upon George Santos to resign. So there's no reason for Republicans to protect him. And one of the critical functions of Congress is oversight. And we should ask ourselves a simple question. Can George Santos be trusted to oversee federally funded programs like the unemployment insurance program, which he is now accused of personally defrauding? The answer to that question is obviously no.
I guess, maybe my question more broadly speaking is, where did the system fail with George Santos? I mean, you're talking about how to fix it going forward, but I guess how did we even get to this moment where you have somebody who is now, somebody by his own admission, a criminal in Brazil, and possibly potentially 1 here as well if he's convicted? But how did we get to this moment with this guy?
For me, I think the fundamental issue is that we no longer have a properly functioning 2-party system. The Republican Party is no longer a normal party, right? The far right of the Republican Party inspired an insurrection against the U.S. Capitol, and inspired the longest speaker vote in 164 years, and now is threatening to default in America. So George Santos has to be understood within the context of a Republican Party that has become a cult of personality around Donald Trump. And when your standard bearer is a fraud like Donald Trump, then charlatans like George Santos will inevitably follow. So I see George Santos in the context of the Trumpification of the Republican Party.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Let me get your thoughts on immigration, if I can, Congressman. You've got the COVID-era Title 42 border policy expiring Friday, which allowed the U.S. to expel migrants without considering them for asylum. President Biden campaigned against Donald Trump's cruel border policies, but we haven't seen, quite honestly, any significant immigration reform in decades from both parties, let alone from this presidency. What does the Biden administration, in your opinion, need to do to help these people, many of whom are escaping terrible situations and want to better their lives?
Look, President Biden's doing the best he can within a broken system that he inherited.
Right.
And the fact is that Democrats are committed to fixing our broken immigration system, whereas Republicans would prefer to demagogue the issue of immigration. There are right-wing demagogues like Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson who have built their political careers around our broken immigration system and have a vested interest in keeping it broken because it benefits them politically. So ultimately, a solution can only come from Congress, and Democrats are willing to rise to the challenge, and we expect Republicans to do the same.
Congressman Richie, Congressman, real quick, actually, before I let you go, who came up with the name the SANTOS Act? I think that's brilliant. I got to admit.
I have to give credit to my legislative director. I consider it the most brilliant acronym in the history of congressional bills.
Seriously, I mean, if there's only one good thing that'll come out of the Santos time in office, it will be that there is this act that will forever live called the SANTOS Act. Congressman Richie,
I think on my gravestone, it's going to say tormentor of George Santos.
Yes, exactly.
We are proud of that.